Hello everybody, this is John Hardy bringing to you Personal Efficiencies, where we're going to talk about planning, doing the thing first, how you understand priorities and some of the tricks that you can actually bring into that space, what you might do and how you might plan, some of the dynamics and tricks about maybe how you might handle email, how you might handle your time, how you might tell your story about your time. And we're going to cover a whole bunch of dynamics like that to help you answer the question about how you can do personal efficiencies. So, great working with you. Stay with me today. I know you're going to get a lot out of the content. It's just going to be so good for you so you can do business better.
Well, John, I just heard you intro your show you're about to do this week. I couldn't help but just jump in and ask you a little bit about what people are going to be expecting along the way. I mean, it's quite a challenge. You said today's show is going to be about personal efficiencies.
Yeah, I'm wanting to help people because I know one of the biggest questions they ask me all the time is, I struggle with this, I struggle with that, I struggle with personal efficiencies. And they don't want to tell their peers or their boss, or even the boss doesn't want to let it onto their staff that I'm really struggling, and they don't know what to do. You know, it's one of those things, I don't know what I don't know. But yet inside them there's that gnawing feeling that says, there's something not quite right here, I need to help. So I've just joined a company, and both the managing directors have said, we are struggling with getting ourselves together. They've got a great business. And so, you know, the bells go off for me. I know that I can help them with their personal efficiencies. Yeah. And I've got lots of little, and I'm just showing one of them, some of my tricks, you know, insights, tools, resources that I've got. We might do this, or we might do this, or we might do this. And he's busily taking notes. And it was just kind of, you know, a coffee conversation about his own personal inefficiencies. And yet he's got a great company.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, the dynamic is, it sharpens people to help them actually do what they know is on the inside and just do it so much easier and less stress and less pressure, because the energy they're using to kind of run around like a bunny, you know, like a chook with its head knocked off. You know, that's right, is just crazy, and they know they're doing crazy.
I know that the last show, and you should check out on John's channel for that, is when you interviewed Cameron Works.
Yeah.
And Cameron does web hosting.
Yes, he does. Yes. Good guy.
200 odd clients, but he did find himself there late nights, working every weekend. And it reminded me of that analogy when the boss is sitting in the office and everyone else is going home, but you're still working.
Yes.
And your ability to turn that around, that's what fascinated me about this particular show, your ability to turn it around, that the boss is going home with the workers.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
It is, absolutely. They often don't do that. Last week, the managing director was still staying behind because he had reports to do, because he's inefficient and ineffective, and he's buzzing around. And I've watched him. He's not using his time wisely. And so it's easy to pick up, because I can see the areas where they're making those mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun when they are willing to say, John, help. It's just a huge mountain. And this is what I'm bound to overcome, because this is what I want to do with this kind of conversation, is just say, ask the question, please help me. You're already halfway there in making the change into your world. And then we can talk about, is it a priority log, or is it a time thing, or is it blocking, or is it emails, whatever it might be. There's lots of things that come as distractions, and I love this one, is monkeys. People want to give you their monkeys. And you know, and all I did was I read Buckingham's book, The 1 Minute Manager Manages the Monkey, and because a lot of people don't read, and then I just share this principle, and they say, oh yeah, that's what happens. How do I deal with it? So, well, how would you? What is a better way to deal with that? They come up with the solutions really quickly and easily, and they know. And what I want to do is draw this resource that's on the inside and let it become a reality for them.
What I like about your show, and one point I will make about it, is you're sharing the resources and sharing the techniques and the strategies and really good systems that you can implement immediately. I do notice one of the things I watch the show, you talk to people, you say, what you're asking them to do is to take the information and rather than just reject it, say, hold on, let me write it down, let me ask the question of myself, okay, correct. How could I use it?
Correct.
What would the difference would it make to my world? And you're very keen on that for them to ask it themselves, and let's see if they can formulate an answer of how they can use this stuff.
Yeah, that's right, but here is a weakness.
Right.
They actually need a coach.
Yes.
They really do.
Very hard to ask yourself, isn't it?
It is. You know, you've got to have strong self-discipline. Most of us don't. You know, this weekend, my wife wanted me to do some jobs around the home. I avoided them. I didn't want to do them. You know, but I did some Monday morning and ticked the boxes, but yeah. I was undisciplined because I chose to be that way. And so we do this in business. We're undisciplined. And we need a coach in the room to actually help us. And I want to reiterate the power of doing that. Certainly, this is to help you, stimulate you, and some of you, only a few of you, will actually take it and actually ask the question. So if you're not going to do that, ask me, engage with me. Engage a coach and watch the difference that actually will do to help you.
Well, this show will definitely help you. Definitely worth watching. I'm going to get out of your way because you're about to commence.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And this is going to be a really good one.
It is. And it's great to be able to do this, Michael, to kind of set the scene, help people get ready.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get out of your way.
Great.
And we'll get on with the show.
Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Hi everybody, great to be with you once again, giving you, I think, great content to help you and I do the dynamics of business. So in this, what we want you to do right from the top is understand I have got great content coming to you, so subscribe. And you'll see the link below, and to help it easier, even easier, is click on the bell because the content will then be pushed to you and you won't have to go looking for it. And I do this every week. I put content up for you and for us in business anywhere around the world, and I've got clients all around the world. It's fantastic to help you do business better. So I know the challenges you face because I am a coach. I'm into my 17th year, and it's really funny when I say that. People think, they take a step back and realize that, one, I'm not a novice, and two, I've been around a fair while, and three, I've actually dealt with quite a lot of clients across those years in all sorts of industries. And so I bring quite a bit of experience to the table to help you and I do business better. So what I want to share with you today is about you and I, about how we can do our efficiencies better, how we can be personally more efficient. And I know that when any of I get into this with most of my clients, they say, I'm time poor, I'm stressed, I'm running at the max, I've got too many things on my plate, and all of those things that they are finding themselves quite overwhelmed with what's going on in their world. And I want to help you. I want to help you do your personal efficiencies better and get a handle on what's going on in and around your world so your world can be better and you'll be more at ease in what's happening for you. So I've just moved into a new house. And in a new house, there is lots of jobs to be done. So to help me do those jobs, today I just started writing out all the kinds of dynamics of jobs that I actually need to do. So I've created for me, I like lists. They work for me, and it takes the information out of my world that I've got running around in my head, and I now know in my home, in the study nook, in the general living area, there is a pad there with a list of all the kind of things that we want to do in and for our home. And I just know I've had to think about that, and I want to target to you initially is you and I need to plan. Find out some kind of way in which we can put some kind of plan together for our world. Because the adage is this, and it's true. If you fail to plan, you and I are planning to fail. And so when I was driving into the studio today, I'm running through the list of my objectives for the day. Some of them are self-inflicted, some of them are externally inflicted, some of them I know I'm doing because I love my wife and I want to help her. And so they're running through the day. I've looked at my diary, what I need to do, yep, I know that's what I'm about, and I will make sure that those things do. So I have my plan for the day, the week, the month, and not quite for the whole of the year, but I've got a fair view of what's going on. And so one of the other things I do is I record in the studio, and I know that going forward I'm going to be bringing a number of my clients into the studio, and I'm going to be doing interviews. So I've had to put a plan together. So I've been emailing my virtual assistant, giving her information, and we're going to work on a way in which we will make that happen. Created a plan. And I know what I've got to do is I've got to write the script. It will make life easier for her to deliver for me. And I'm just wondering, in your world, what are you doing that you need today to do and write out some kind of plan for what's going on in and around your world? Because I come across this all the time, the inefficiencies and the wasting of time, because people do this. They operate out of the urgent, operating out of putting out fires, and never really kind of get themselves feeling like they're in any kind of control, that they feel like they are actually not being stressed, that they are not the tail wagging the dog. They've actually got some sense of equilibrium going on in their world. And I know when I've done this with my clients that they will find that they move into that space so much easier. And especially when I do my important urgent quadrant with them, and I ask them the question, which is the area that you're working on? And I just then don't say anything. I then get them to analyze what's going on in their world, to ask the question of reflection, to know where they are disorganized, where there's no plan, where they're operating out of the urgent or the non-important, whatever it might be, and helping them see the difficulties that they're actually facing. And so we need to do this. And when I get this happening, I love the fact that I've just done an interview with one of my clients, Cameron, which you can see on my YouTube channel. And you will see in there a great story that he tells you about how he's figured out to plan his day better, from working till 1 and 2 in the morning, now working 9 to 5, and with space and time to do even more efficiencies in and around his world. He's absolutely stoked about that, feeling better about himself. In fact, he said to us that his health is better, he's sleeping better, he's eating better, he's working better. Hey, great outcomes, because he now has a plan in place. And we need to plan in advance. We need to imagine the dynamics of what's going on in our world and look into that world. And I just wonder about you and I, when we fail to plan, we then don't understand the importance of doing what we need to do first. We don't understand what is first. We never know, because we have all of these things rushing at us. And this is what I find in my conversations with my clients is, over and over again, they say, well, somebody wants me to do this, and somebody wants me to do that, and this email come, and that phone call was made, and people interrupt their world, and my door is open. All of those dynamics where you lose control and you don't know what to do first. And as we walk through this, you will see that there is something that, some real insights that you will get in how you can actually create personal efficiencies. Because in business, as much as we want to have profit, if we don't get a handle on us after we've got our business going for a while, all we're going to be doing is the tail is going to wag the dog. The invoices are going to demand you do this. The staff are going to want you to turn up for that. You know, your suppliers are going to expect you to be available for. Your stakeholders are going to say to you, and your customers are going to walk in the door and ask you why not. Because you don't understand your first priority. Let me tell you, your first priority in business is you. And if you don't understand that first priority and what your first priority about what you need to be doing for you as the business owner, entrepreneur, leader, then you are going to limit your effectiveness, and your efficiencies are going to be going down the tube with lack of clarity, lack of understanding, a lack of direction. So I want you to take the time right now in the way you're thinking and interacting with me and saying, John, you're just being too hard on me. Well, no, I'm not. I'm actually not being hard enough yet stay with me, because as you go through this, you will glean insights and you will capture some thoughts and you say, that's me. It might have been the important urgents. It might have been, I don't look after me, as I don't understand my firsts. I don't have a plan in preparation for the future. And so I don't really know where I'm going. So anything will dictate to me about what will happen in any day. And at the end of the day, I'll wonder to myself, what did I really get done today? And I hear that over and over again, the incredible personal inefficiencies that you and I have in business. And I know, because I now have a plan in place for me today, at the end of the day, I know I tick all those things off. I'll have accomplished a whole bunch of things. I'll have looked after areas that my wife needs me to do. I'll have done some really cool things in and for my business. Hey, at the end of the day, I'll change out of my gear, get into my casual gear, and I'll know, yeah, that was a good day, and I'll do the same for tomorrow, the next day, the next week. And I'm excited about that because I know where I'm going and how I'm going to do it. Because I've created in my world personal efficiencies. And that's what I want to do as we have this conversation, you and I today. Ask yourself the question, am I planning for my future? Am I planning into the future? And do I know my first priorities? So what I want you to do is stay tuned. We'll be back in just a little while with some more to help you do business better. Today we're talking about personal priorities, and I've just been touching base with you about the inefficiencies in our world and actually helping you and I learn how to plan and learn how to get the first right. That is the first task, the first area for you to focus on. And what I want to touch on with you now is time and tasks. Time, it's like the President of the United States and you and I and the prime ministers of our nations all have the same amount of time. But what we sometimes don't do is we don't do well with time. We don't understand it, we let it rush by, we don't plan to use it really well at all, and we wonder, why do things go wrong? Time is really fascinating. And I know that I love doing this with my clients, and I'm imagining you're sitting across the road from me and we're gonna have a chat, and you're telling me, John, me and time just don't get on. And so I say, well, have a look at this. And I just show them my priority log, and soon you'll be able to download that free from my website. And that's, I'm so glad that can help you. And I say, have a look at this, and will this help you get a picture on your time? And what I say to them, I explain how the log works. And then what I say to them is this: what I want you to do is let the day tell you the story of what you actually do and how you interact with time. And you actually have to record in 15-minute blocks. And they say, do I have to? And I say, yes, you do, because it helps tell the story. And I don't want you to be judgmental. I don't want you to presume what's going to happen. I don't want you to anticipate. I just want you to let the story unfold. There is then some checks and balances that will actually help you do some analysis on that story each and every day and help you plan a little bit better for the future. But I find when people do that and put the effort in, I did one recently, and the conversation was just really cool that, yeah, I understand where I'm going wrong, but they only did 1 week. And they were supposed to do 2. And I just know they're still struggling with getting a handle on time. It's not that you're going to manage time or control time. Time is just going to be there. It's going to continue to tick by. The fact that I know I've been in business 17 years is because we can track time. Time tells us a whole bunch of things. It indicates, every year we celebrate our birthdays, and some of us might not want to tell our age and those kind of things, but we celebrate that because of time. It tells us great stories. And I do this, and it tells a really interesting story. And that's what we don't let time do for us. We don't let it tell us our story, and we let it impact on us and let others dictate how we should handle our own time or engage with our own time. And I know this from research and reading, Outstanding leaders are early risers, which is really interesting. And they will often rise early, plan their day, get stuck into their work. So when they engage with people, they're well prepared, in tune, got the agenda right, they're well briefed, and they are in charge. What we do oftentimes is we get up late, we take long breakfasts, we drive in slowly, and then the day is already running and we think, oh no, I'm out of control. The day is already out of control because you have not got a good relationship with time. And that's your battle, and my battle is how we actually engage with time and do that really, really well. And the other dynamic, of course, is time asks of us to do something. So I want you to think about this. I'm asking you to be task orientated. I'm just asking you to be aware that there is things to be done each and every day. But we sometimes don't have mechanisms by which we can actually do that. So I will often ask the question, do you know the 2-minute rule? What's the 2-minute rule? Okay, you don't know it, that's okay. And it's very simple that if you can do anything within 2 minutes, you do it. If not, record it, and we will work out in the dynamic of how we will handle the activities, the tasks, the engagements, the appointments, the interactions that we will do in any given day. We'll figure out where that fits. So there's lots of little things like that around about what is going on in my world and how do I figure out how best to do that. I have lots of little tricks like that to help you. One is my ABC. And what I'd simply get people to do sometimes is just write everything down that they would like to see, that they know they would like to do. Just create a list and then prioritize. And like we just talked about, know your first. And keep your priority simple. It needs to be 1, 2, or 3 items that you know in any given day, week, month, or quarter is going to be the real dramatic impact that you want to make and really make the effort of your time. You know what you want to do with it, the activities that you've got, where you really want to put most of your energy. Because when you don't know your time and you don't know the story that your time is telling about who you are and what you do and how you go about your world, and all of us do it quite incredibly differently and uniquely because we're wired incredibly uniquely and differently. When we don't let them, we let other people dictate and other circumstances dictate, time has its own way of actually running past us. But when we know that story well, and that's why a coach is really important, and when we've figured out our activities and we've worked out some tricks on those dynamics, and I do this deliberately because I want to clarify and sharpen the focus. I ask people to do 2 to 3 things. A, I must do. B, I can do. 2 to 3 things only. So in any given period of time, you actually know, if I get my A's done, I know I've got some freedom and liberty to choose to do these other things that I've got on my B list. But then there is a C list, and this is the really most important dynamic for you to understand. Everything else is on your C list, and this is what you say: C, I cannot do today, this week, this month, this quarter. You just know they're not going to be flashing their red lights at you, running the red light at you. They're not going to be making that urgent phone call that you've got to do. No one's going to be coming knocking on your door and demanding that that must happen, because you know your story, you know your activities, and you've created the way you know you're going to do your first. And when you do that, there is a lot more rest inside of you and a lot more peace inside of you, because you know that you are not letting everything else run at you and run over you. You actually know what you are about. You've understood your story. You've planned for the future. You know your first, and you're using some ways in which you can create efficiencies into your world to help you do your world so much better. Now, what I will often do in a coaching session is, rather than give that information, I will ask, do you know about priorities? And get them to tell me the story about what's going on in their world. And say, maybe if you did this, what would that look like for you? How would it work for you? And so I'm not trying to be prescriptive here. What I'm trying to do is poke your imagination to say, oh, that might not work for me, but I could do this. So one of my clients recently, I had a journal and an electronic diary and a laptop. And I asked the question, where are you going to get efficiencies from? We figured out how to do diary appointments. And then in her meetings that she was having, fairly important meetings that she had on a regular basis, she started taking notes electronically. Now everything is in her laptop. She's created her story. She understands how she does it. And she said to me, I just feel so much less pressure and so much more at ease. This is the dynamic that can actually happen for you and I. We're going to be back in just a short while, and we're going to continue on in this story to help bring some principles into your world so we can do personal efficiency. Stay tuned. We've been on a really interesting journey today as we've talked about personal efficiencies. We've talked about how it's important to plan into your future. We've talked about the importance of firsts. We've talked about many of us struggle with personal inefficiencies. And what I'm doing today is sharing with you some provocative ideas, some provocative thinking, just to help expand how you might approach your own personal efficiencies. So remember, as a coach, in this context, I'm giving you information. But in my conversation with you, we would be working on transformation. So many times what I'm doing as I'm sharing this information with you, see it as a question. So John's asking me a question about my personal efficiencies. Do I plan? So, question. Do I know and understand my firsts? What's my story as far as time is concerned? You know, do I have some ways and means of getting an idea on actually handling that? So what I'm working on is helping focus you, so to actually ask your own questions about your personal inefficiencies. Now, you might have a good time story. You might know that you plan, but there's other areas in your world that you know you are personally inefficient. And I'm asking you to ask yourself the question, where do I struggle? Where do I fail? Where do I lack focus? Because I know that there will be distractions coming into your world, whether it be by email. And here's a little insight for you. Do not do your email till after 11 a.m. There you go. That's something very specific. And you might then say to me, John, why? Well, emails are going to keep coming at you all the time. And what you want to do is set your day. You don't let them to dictate the terms of the day. You want them not to be the tail wagging the dog. You want them to be part of what you do. So don't do them till after 11 a.m. when you know you've got your day well under control. You know what you're doing. Remember, we're talking about focus. So when you go to focus, you've got the plan for the day. You've done the first. You know your time story. And you understand how to get some priorities in your world. And some of those priorities is when I will do my emails, or when I will do my phone calls, or when I will meet with my staff. And let me give you an insight on that. Block time is really, really powerful. And so you want to set up personal time for yourself. And so if you have a secretary, or you don't, if somebody wants to get into your diary, in your diary it says, you know, time appointment with John, that's me. And so if somebody says, do you have any free time in the next hour or on Wednesday at 3 o'clock? No, there's already an appointment in my diary. We need to look at another time. So there's ways in which you can do things that will actually help you really focus and create efficiencies. Because I found this, when we do that, we actually have greater energy in our world to actually do what we want to do, and that is lead and grow our businesses, lead and grow our people, interact with our clients, do great with our suppliers, look for innovation in our world. And here's a little snippet of information. People often ask us in business, how do we stay different? What's the differences between us and other businesses? I want you just to drop this in for you, and that is the word innovation. Think about that. I'll come back to that in another story at another time and talk to you about the dynamic and the power of innovation. But getting back on here, I want to drop this area of you. Am I focused? In what areas am I not focused? Where does the distractions come into my world? And all I want you to do today is, as you think about the day and as you think about what's going on in your world, capture the thought or the idea or the distraction that's moving you away from being a focused leader. Just capture that thought. And when you're doing your planning, when you're thinking about the first, when you're looking at what you might do as far as activities and appointments, you're going to be able to deal with that issue because now you are aware and you can be so much more focused and therefore so much more efficient. And so that's what we're trying to help you with, is understanding what's going on in your world, because when you lack focus, this is what happens. Distractions will actually flood into your world and actually control you rather than you being in control of what's going on in your world. And I wonder what's going on for you. And I want to go back to this point of your first. In any one day, if you can achieve one key moment in time where you do one thing really, really, really well, the difference that makes if you do that, let's say there's 280 working days in a year, if you did that 280 times, one thing really, really, really well, the difference that would make in building your business, in growing a staff member, interacting with a supplier, putting a system in place to help strengthen what's going on in your business, making a key phone call that you need to make that you've been putting off. What one thing can you do, and putting that at the top of your agenda of anything that happens in that day? This is the one thing I want to make sure that I do. The power of focus in that is phenomenal. Remember, you're going to do that 280 times. And here's the analogy. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you climb a mountain? One step at a time. And the power of doing that, and I've read some great biographies on people who've climbed mountains. And right now there's an Australian who is climbing all the major peaks around the world, and he's done 5, and he's doing it in record time. He's doing one after the other after the other. Amazing feat of challenge and fitness and expertise. So what is the one thing that you can bring into your world? And you do that 280 times. The power of that focus, that clarity, that insight, that strategic dynamic that you bring into your world. And what happens is this: when you do that, people ask you the question, why are you so efficient? Why do you do things so well? How do you get those jobs done? People will notice that you are actually in control. People will notice that you make things happen. People will notice change going on in your world. And I love the power of that and the influence that can bring to you, because here again, is you create a way of difference from the rest of the market. Difference for your business, different for your organization, difference for your peers, difference for your suppliers, difference for those who are competing with you, because you're dealing with and engaging with, and it really is quite powerful. I love this dynamic. Not only to have the focus, but I challenge particularly men. I challenge them to have a finishing time, especially in the family years, to make sure they have a finishing time for their family. And this is a great way to do it for men to actually really take that responsibility, to be fathers in the home. It's powerful. But here is what happens when we actually set a finishing time. It helps us focus, it creates a false deadline, and we know I'm leaving at 4:30, and this is what I need to get done today. and it actually helps you and challenges you and creates a great energy. I'm finishing at 4:30. That's got to be done. Oftentimes we use this when we're going away on holidays or long weekends. We know we're finishing and all of this work must be done. We've created for ourselves a false deadline. And the energy that we bring to the party because of that is really quite amazing. So what's the story been today for you and for me? The story has been about how we can create personal efficiencies and change the way in which we do life and we lead businesses. That's what's happening. And remember what I've been doing. I've been giving you information, but what I'm asking you is to think about them as questions for you in your context today. Let them be provocateurs into your world to challenge what you're doing. And you're simply saying, as you listen to me today, I need to deal with personal efficiencies in my world. This is going to help me wrestle with some of those things. It's going to break me open to think about them and be a strategic leader in and around your world. I love doing this. I want to help you so much, and I'd love you to engage with me. So sign up, become my subscriber, because I do content for you every week. Ring that bell, because that way the information will be coming to you directly. You won't have to wait for it. It'll tell you it's here, it's done, it's recorded, it's up on my YouTube channel. And I love doing this for you so we can do business better. Thank you so much for listening once again. It's great working with you.